Chapter 04-07. The Tempest pirates sailed through calm waters, their ship cutting across the North Blue. Rimuru stood at the helm, his eyes fixed on the horizon, while Ultima lounged on the deck, looking relaxed but alert. The skies were clear, and the sea breeze felt refreshing. Ultima, I can't believe we're finally headed toward the Grand Line. All that training was worth it. Rimuru nodded, but before he could respond, a familiar squawk echoed through the air. A large seagull, dressed in a tiny marine cap, swooped down toward the ship, carrying a bundle of newspapers in its talons. It dropped one right onto the deck and flapped away into the sky. Rimuru, looks like we've got the news. He picked up the paper, unfolding it casually as he leaned against the railing. His eyes quickly scanned the front page. His expression remained calm, but a small smirk began to form. Ultima, what's got you so amused? Rimuru tossed the paper toward her with a flick of his wrist. Rimuru, we've made it into the papers. Bounties and everything. Ultima's eyes lit up as she caught the newspaper and unfolded it with excitement. Her gaze immediately fell on the bounty posters, and her excitement grew until she saw the numbers. Rimuru Tempest, 30 million berries. Ultima Tempest, 25 million berries. Ultima blinked, staring at the posters in disbelief. Then, her eyes narrowed, and she shot Rimuru an accusatory glare. Ultima, wait, why do you get a higher bounty than me? You've got 30 million, and I've only got 25 million. This makes no sense. I did just as much damage in Logatown as you did. Rimuru laughed, enjoying the reaction. Rimuru, hey, don't look at me like that. I didn't decide the bounties. I guess the Marines think I'm just a little more dangerous. Ultima, arms crossed, scowled. Ultima, dangerous, I took down more Marines than you. And with style, I might add. Rimuru chuckled, shaking his head. Rimuru, maybe they think I'm the captain, so they gave me the higher number. Or maybe they're just scared of my charm. Ultima rolled her eyes, clearly annoyed. Ultima, you're impossible, I bet they'll regret underestimating me. She pouted, staring at her bounty poster as if willing the numbers to change. After a moment, she sighed and tossed the paper aside, leaning back on the deck with her arms behind her head. Ultima, whatever, I'll just have to earn a higher bounty later. I'm not worried. Rimuru smiled and returned to steering the ship, enjoying the quiet banter between them. They sailed in peaceful silence for a few more minutes before Ciel's voice rang in Rimuru's mind. Ciel, Master, we're on course for Reverse Mountain. We should arrive in about 2 days. Rimuru, good, I've been looking forward to this. Once we cross the mountain, we'll officially be in the Grand Line. Ultima glanced up from her spot, sensing the anticipation in Rimuru's voice. Ultima, Reverse Mountain, huh? I've heard it's not an easy place to get through. Rimuru nodded, his expression thoughtful. Rimuru, it's dangerous, but with all the training we've done, I'm confident we'll make it through. Besides, it's the only way to enter the Grand Line from this side of the world. Ultima stretched, looking excited again. Ultima, I can't wait. The Grand Line is where all the real fun begins. They spent the next 2 days sailing in preparation, keeping their focus on the upcoming challenge. The weather remained fair, but both of them could feel the tension in the air as they approached their goal. Finally, as the sun began to set on the second day, the towering figure of Reverse Mountain came into view. The sight was awe-inspiring. Reverse Mountain was massive, its sheer cliffs rising impossibly high, with water from 4 different seas rushing up its sides to meet. At the top, where it flowed down into the Grand Line. Ultima, whoa, that's intense. Rimuru nodded, steering the ship toward the entrance of the current that would take them up the mountain. Rimuru, we need to time this perfectly. Once we're in the current, there's no turning back. Hold on tight. Ultima gripped the railing, her eyes sharp as she watched the water churn and rush toward the base of the mountain. The ship picked up speed as they neared the entrance, and the sound of the rushing water grew louder with each passing second. Ultima, here we go. The ship lurched forward as it entered the upward current, the force of the water propelling them at an incredible speed up the side of the mountain. The wind whipped through their hair, and the ship creaked under the pressure, but Rimuru kept a steady hand on the wheel. Rimuru, this is nothing. We've got this. As they ascended, the sea grew rougher, with waves crashing against the sides of the ship. The steep incline of the mountain made the journey treacherous, but Rimuru's sharp reflexes and keen observation kept them on course. Ultima, is it just me, or is this a little too easy? Rimuru chuckled. Rimuru, easy, I'd say it's just the right amount of excitement. The ship continued its rapid ascent, and as they neared the top, the tension grew. The waters converged from all four seas, the east blue, west blue, south blue, and north blue, creating a swirling vortex at the peak. Ultima, almost there. Once we hit the top, we'll be in the Grand Line. As they reached the peak, the ship was momentarily suspended in the swirling waters before being pulled downward toward the other side. Rimuru steered the ship with precision, navigating the dangerous descent with the same skill he'd shown on the way up. The waters of the Grand Line awaited them at the base of Reverse Mountain, and as they emerged from the treacherous currents, the seas ahead seemed almost eerily calm. Ultima, we made it. We're finally in the Grand Line. Rimuru exhaled, a satisfied smile on his face. Rimuru, that was a good warm-up. But now the real adventure begins. Ultima nodded, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Ultima, the Grand Line is full of surprises. Strong opponents, weird islands. I can't wait to see what's next. Seal chimed in, her voice calm and composed as always. Seal, Master, be prepared. The Grand Line is unlike anything you've experienced before. The weather can change in an instant, and the islands here don't follow normal logic. Azura added with a playful tone. Azura, but that's part of the fun, right? The unpredictability, the danger. It's what makes the Grand Line so thrilling. Rimuru and Ultima exchanged a glance, both grinning with anticipation. Rimuru, we're ready for whatever comes next. This is where we'll make our mark as pirates. Ultima raised her fist, her grin widening. Ultima, and I'll make sure my bounty skyrockets past yours, Rimuru. Just you wait. Rimuru laughed, steering the ship onward into the unknown waters of the Grand Line. Rimuru, we'll see about that. But first, let's find out where this adventure takes us. As the Tempest pirates sailed into the vast, unpredictable seas of the Grand Line, they felt the thrill of the journey ahead. With their skills honed and their spirits high, they were ready to face whatever challenges the Grand Line had in store for them. The Tempest pirates were sailing through the calm but unpredictable waters of the Grand Line, their ship cutting effortlessly through the waves. Rimuru stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the horizon with a sharp intensity, while Ultima lounged on the deck, her eyes closed in quiet contemplation. Both were still buzzing with excitement from having crossed the legendary Reverse Mountain and officially entering the Grand Line. Ultima, so this is the Grand Line, huh? Doesn't seem so terrifying just yet. Rimuru smirked at her comment, but he knew better. The Grand Line was famous for its wild weather, unpredictable islands, and powerful opponents. Despite the calm seas, he knew it could change in an instant. Rimuru, we've barely scratched the surface, Ultima. Just wait. It'll get much more interesting soon enough. Suddenly, Azura's voice echoed in their minds, breaking their moment of peace. Azura, Master Rimuru, Mistress Ultima. There's something you'll need for your journey here in the Grand Line. Ultima opened one eye, intrigued, while Rimuru gave a slight nod. Rimuru, what is it? Azura manifested in front of them in a small flash of light, holding a small device in her hand. It was a log pose, the compass-like tool necessary for navigating the Grand Line. Unlike regular compasses, which didn't work in this bizarre sea, the log pose was attuned to the magnetic fields of each island. Azura, this is a log pose. It will point you to the next island by locking onto the magnetic field of the current island you're on. Without it, you'd be lost in these seas forever. Ultima raised an eyebrow, taking a closer look at the log pose in Azura's hand. Ultima, so we really can't just sail blindly. I was hoping for a little more chaos. Azura shook her head. Azura, chaos or not, the Grand Line operates by its own rules. If you want to survive here, you'll need this. Consider it your guide. Rimuru reached out and took the log pose, inspecting it for a moment before strapping it to his wrist. Rimuru, I'll be the navigator, then. With this, we can plot our course without any issues. Seal, who had been quiet up until now, chimed in. Seal, I'll help you, Master. Together, we'll ensure smooth sailing, and I'll analyze the log pose's magnetic readings to predict upcoming weather patterns. Ultima let out a sigh, stretching her arms lazily. Ultima, fine, fine. Leave the boring stuff to you two. I'll focus on the fun part, getting stronger and taking down anyone who gets in our way. Rimuru smiled, knowing Ultima's personality all too well. Rimuru, don't worry, you'll have plenty of opportunities for that. But for now, we need to follow this log pose and see where it takes us. With their course set, the Tempest pirates sailed onward. The first few days passed without incident, giving them ample time to continue their hockey training. After all, in a world where devil fruits and hockey defined the strongest fighters, Rimuru and Ultima knew they couldn't afford to fall behind. On the deck, the two of them sparred relentlessly. Rimuru, focusing on improving his observation haki, moved with fluid precision, dodging Ultima's every strike. His senses were sharper than ever, allowing him to predict her movements before they even began. Ultima, on the other hand, was honing her armament haki. With each punch she threw, her fists glowed a deep black, crackling with the energy of advanced armament haki. Her strikes had become so powerful that they could shatter steel and leave craters in the deck of their ship, much to Rimuru's annoyance. Rimuru, hey, don't destroy the ship. We just got this thing, and it's made of atom wood. It's supposed to be indestructible. Ultima grinned wickedly, her fist still glowing with armament haki. Ultima, maybe you should dodge better then, Rimuru. Or are you losing your touch? Rimuru rolled his eyes, but deep down, he was impressed with how quickly Ultima had mastered the advanced form of armament haki. She was a natural fighter, always pushing her limits. Rimuru, just focus on your training. We'll need every bit of strength we can muster once we hit the Grand Line's more dangerous islands. The week passed quickly, with both Rimuru and Ultima making remarkable strides in their haki abilities. Rimuru's observation haki had reached an advanced level, allowing him to sense not only the immediate area but also read the intent and emotions of those around him. Ultima, meanwhile, had fully mastered advanced armament haki, imbuing her attacks with the power to bypass normal defenses and strike directly at her opponent's cores. After 7 days of sailing, the log pose finally began to point in a new direction, signaling their arrival at the next island. As the island came into view, Rimuru and Ultima stood at the bow of the ship, taking in the sight before them. It was a strange island, covered in machinery and strange structures. The island was split between natural beauty and mechanical genius, with towering gears and steam engines mixed with forests and mountains. Rimuru recognized it immediately. Rimuru, this is Kakuri Island, isn't it? The place where Vegapunk, the world's most brilliant scientist, was born. Ultima tilted her head, looking curious. Ultima, Vegapunk, I've heard that name before. Isn't he the one who created all those weird machines the world government uses? Seal answered before Rimuru could speak. Seal, indeed, Vegapunk is known for his unmatched intelligence. He's behind much of the world government's technology, including the creation of Pacifista and research into devil fruits. However, Vegapunk himself hasn't been seen publicly in years. Rimuru stroked his chin, thinking. Rimuru, this island could be useful. If we can learn more about Vegapunk's technology, we might find ways to strengthen ourselves or even gain new abilities. Plus, who knows what secrets this place holds? Ultima grinned, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Ultima, so, what's the plan? Do we explore the island, maybe cause a little chaos while we're here? Rimuru chuckled. Rimuru, let's not destroy everything on sight. We'll explore, gather information, and see if there's anything useful. But no rampages, at least, not yet. Ultima pouted. Ultima, you're no fun. Fine, I'll behave, but if anyone tries to pick a fight, I won't hold back. Azura chimed in, her voice calm but playful. Azura, Mistress Ultima, I believe this island will offer plenty of opportunities for excitement. There's no need to rush into destruction, yet. Ultima's grin widened. Ultima, I like the way you think, Azura. As they sailed closer to the island, Rimuru began to feel a growing sense of curiosity. Kakuri Island was a place of innovation, but it was also shrouded in mystery. Who knew what kind of technology or hidden threats awaited them? Once they docked the ship, Rimuru and Ultima prepared to disembark. Rimuru tightened the log pose on his wrist, knowing that their next destination would depend on this island's magnetic field. Rimuru, let's stay sharp. We don't know what kind of people we'll run into here. Ultima cracked her knuckles, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Ultima, I'm ready for whatever comes our way. Let's see what this island has to offer. Together, they stepped off the ship and onto Kakuri Island, their minds filled with thoughts of discovery, adventure, and the possibility of gaining even more power in this strange new world. The Tempest Pirates had just begun their journey in the Grand Line, and already, the promise of challenges and excitement loomed on the horizon. Rimuru and Ultima had spent the last week exploring Kakuri Island. The island, known for being the birthplace of Vegapunk, was full of mechanical marvels and strange inventions that piqued the curiosity of both Rimuru and Ultima. As they explored the island, they came across various blueprints, schematics, and pieces of advanced technology, things that both Seal and Azura insisted would be useful for their future adventures. Seal, Master, this schematic outlines a highly advanced energy conversion system. It could be adapted to improve our ship's power output or even create new weaponry. Rimuru, holding a delicate blueprint in his hands, looked it over with a smirk. Rimuru, interesting. Vegapunk was truly ahead of his time. Let's keep this one. It might come in handy if we decide to upgrade the ship later. Ultima, sitting nearby on a crate full of stolen Vegapunk tech, rolled her eyes. Ultima, more upgrades. Can't we just blow things up instead? That's way more fun. Azura, Mistress Ultima, while destruction is entertaining, strategy and preparation can make the destruction even more effective. Ultima grinned, crossing her arms. Ultima, alright. You've got a point, but when the time comes to use these toys, I'm going all out. Rimuru chuckled, carefully rolling up the blueprint and tucking it away. Over the past week, they had raided several hidden facilities on the island, stealing anything that seemed useful. Though they were new to the world of One Piece, they quickly learned that knowledge was power here, and Vegapunk's inventions could provide them with a significant edge. After a week of exploring, they found themselves at the entrance to a heavily guarded marine base. The base was much larger than the smaller outposts they had encountered so far. It seemed that Karakuri Island wasn't just a hub of technological research, it also had a significant marine presence. Rimuru, looks like we've hit the jackpot. This place is crawling with marines. Ultima's eyes lit up with excitement as she stared at the base from a distance. Ultima, finally, I was getting bored of sneaking around and stealing things. Let's take them down. Ciel's voice chimed in, sounding calm and collected. Ciel, there is a high-ranking officer stationed here. His name is Rear Admiral Yukimura. He may not be as powerful as the admirals, but he could still pose a challenge if we're careless. Rimuru grinned, cracking his knuckles in anticipation. Rimuru, good, it's about time we faced someone with real authority. Let's see how strong this Rear Admiral really is. Azura added her input, her tone as calm as ever. Azura, from the information I've gathered, Yukimura does not possess haki. However, he commands 2 marine commanders under his wing. They might be of some interest. Ultima's grin widened at the news. Ultima, no haki, this is going to be too easy. Let's make this quick and fun. Rimuru looked thoughtful for a moment before turning to Ultima. Rimuru, alright, here's the plan. I'll deal with the 2 commanders and the lower-ranked marines who can handle the Conqueror's haki. You can take care of Yukimura. Ultima's eyes gleamed with excitement. Ultima, I like it. Leave the big guy to me. Without another word, Rimuru and Ultima advanced toward the marine base, moving with swift precision. As they approached the front gate, the first line of marines spotted them and raised the alarm. Marine soldier, intruders, sound the alarm. Within moments, the base was bustling with activity. Marines scrambled to their positions, rifles raised and swords drawn, as the 2 intruders made their way toward the entrance. However, Rimuru and Ultima were unfazed by the commotion. Rimuru, let's start with a little warm-up, shall we? With a flick of his wrist, Rimuru released a wave of Conqueror's haki, sending a powerful shockwave of willpower surging through the marine ranks. Instantly, dozens of marines collapsed, unconscious, their minds unable to withstand the overwhelming pressure of Rimuru's haki. Only a handful of the stronger marines managed to remain standing, but even they were visibly shaken. Ultima, you've gotten better at that, Rimuru. But let me show you how it's really done. Ultima stepped forward, unleashing her own Conqueror's haki in a violent, overwhelming wave. The remaining marines who had withstood Rimuru's haki fell to the ground, completely knocked out. The entire front line of the marine base was decimated in an instant, leaving only a few stragglers who had somehow managed to remain conscious. Rimuru, not bad, Ultima. You've still got it. Ultima, of course I do. Now, let's go find Yukimura. They pushed through the entrance, easily cutting down any remaining marines who attempted to stand in their way. As they made their way deeper into the base, they were confronted by the 2 marine commanders that Azura had mentioned earlier. The commanders stood at attention, swords drawn, ready to defend their base. Commander 1, you won't get any further. We'll stop you here. Commander 2, for the honor of the marines, we won't let you pass. Rimuru stepped forward, drawing his blade in one swift motion. His eyes glowed with confidence as he prepared to take on both commanders at once. Rimuru, I'll handle these 2. You go on ahead, Ultima. Ultima gave him a nod before continuing deeper into the base, leaving Rimuru to deal with the commanders. The 2 marines attacked simultaneously, their swords aimed at Rimuru with precision and skill. However, Rimuru was more than prepared. Using his advanced observation haki, He effortlessly dodged their strikes, moving like a blur as he danced between their attacks. Rimuru, you're fast, but not fast enough. With a single slash of his blade, Rimuru disarmed the first commander, sending his sword flying through the air. The second commander lunged at him, but Rimuru countered with a swift kick to his stomach, sending him crashing into the wall. Both commanders were defeated in seconds, left unconscious on the ground. Rimuru, too easy. Meanwhile, Ultima made her way to the central chamber of the base, where Rear Admiral Yukimura waited. He was a tall, imposing figure, dressed in the standard white marine coat that signified his rank. Despite his lack of haki, his presence was commanding, and he stood tall, ready to face the intruder. Yukimura, you're the one causing all this trouble. I'll make sure you regret it. Ultima grinned wickedly, cracking her knuckles as she stepped forward. Ultima, you're the big shot Rear Admiral. This is going to be fun. Yukimura drew his sword, his eyes narrowing in determination. Yukimura, you won't leave this base alive. Without another word, Yukimura charged at Ultima, his sword aimed at her throat. Ultima easily dodged his attack, her movements fluid and precise. She could tell immediately that he was no match for her. His attacks were fast, but they lacked the power and precision of someone who possessed haki. Ultima, is that really all you've got? I was hoping for a challenge. With a single punch, Ultima struck Yukimura in the chest, sending him crashing into the far wall. He coughed up blood, his body slumping to the ground in defeat. Yukimura. Impossible, how? Ultima walked over to him, crouching down so that her face was just inches from his. Ultima, you're weak, that's how. She stood up, brushing the dust off her clothes as she turned to leave. The base was in shambles, with the Marines either unconscious or defeated. Rimuru appeared at her side, having easily dealt with the commanders and the remaining Marines. Rimuru, all done here? Ultima nodded. Ultima, yup, the Rear Admiral was a total pushover. Let's get out of here. As they left the Marine base, the few remaining conscious Marines watched in horror, too terrified to move. The Tempest pirates had struck fear into their hearts, and they knew that word of this attack would spread quickly. Back on their ship, Rimuru and Ultima reflected on the events of the day. Rimuru, that was easier than I expected. I thought a Rear Admiral would put up more of a fight. Ultima, me too, I was really hoping for more excitement. Ciel's voice chimed in. Ciel, while Rear Admiral Yukimura was not particularly powerful, this attack will likely draw the attention of more dangerous figures within the Marines. We should be prepared for what comes next. Rimuru nodded in agreement. Rimuru, we'll be ready. This is just the beginning. As their ship sailed away from Kakuri Island, Rimuru and Ultima looked forward to their next adventure, knowing that their journey in the Grand Line was far from over. And with each victory, they were one step closer to becoming unstoppable. The sun was just beginning to rise over the endless blue horizon, casting a golden glow on the deck of the Tempest pirate's ship. Rimuru and Ultima stood side by side, leaning against the ship's railing, enjoying the calmness of the sea after their recent victory on Kakuri Island. The wind was gentle, and the sound of waves gently lapping against the ship's hull was a pleasant reminder of their newfound freedom. Suddenly, a familiar flapping of wings interrupted the tranquility. A seagull, wearing a little postman's hat, swooped down and dropped a newspaper onto the deck before flying off. Rimuru, looks like our daily news is here. Ultima, already excited at the prospect of seeing what chaos they'd caused, snatched up the newspaper from the deck and quickly opened it. Her eyes immediately landed on the bounty section, and she gasped in delight. Ultima, Rimuru, check this out, our new bounties are in. Rimuru looked over her shoulder, his curiosity piqued. He leaned in closer, and there it was, in bold letters and next to their pictures. Ultima Tempest. 80 million berries. Rimuru Tempest. 80 million berries. Both pirates stared at the numbers for a moment, letting the reality of their newly increased bounties sink in. Rimuru. 80 million each, huh? Not bad for only a couple of weeks in this world. Ultima's face lit up with pride, her smile wide and her eyes glinting mischievously. Ultima, not bad, this is awesome. We've barely started, and we're already causing this much trouble. I told you we'd be infamous in no time. Rimuru chuckled, his laid-back demeanor unchanged despite the enormous bounty now hanging over his head. Rimuru, well, I guess it's official now. We're on the Marines' radar for real. But I have to say, they're underestimating us. Ultima laughed, folding the newspaper and tossing it onto a nearby crate. Ultima, definitely, these people have no idea who they're dealing with. She paused for a moment, her excitement quickly shifting into thoughtfulness. Her brow furrowed slightly as she looked back at Rimuru. Ultima. But, Rimuru, our bounties are the same this time. You think they finally realized I'm as dangerous as you? Rimuru raised an eyebrow and smirked playfully. Rimuru, you wanted your bounty to be higher than mine last time, remember? But now that they're equal, I guess they've figured out that we're both a pretty big threat. Ultima sighed, half in amusement and half in mock frustration. Ultima. Yeah, I was hoping to edge you out. But I guess I can't complain about 80 million. Azora's voice chimed in, her usual calm and analytical tone adding to the conversation. Azura, the Marines likely have no way of gauging the true extent of either of your powers yet. It's only a matter of time before they realize just how far above their expectations you truly are. Seal added her thoughts in agreement. Seal, indeed, once they've seen what you're truly capable of, these bounties will seem laughably low. Ultima grinned at the prospect of causing even more chaos in the near future. Ultima, I can't wait to see the look on their faces when we really get started. Rimuru nodded, crossing his arms as he leaned back against the railing, gazing out at the endless ocean. Rimuru, yeah, it's going to be fun watching them scramble. But for now, we should focus on what's ahead. The Grand Line isn't going to be a cakewalk. As the ship sailed smoothly through the calm waters, the two of them continued their training. Even after weeks of honing their hockey, Rimuru and Ultima pushed themselves to new limits. They weren't just interested in causing mayhem, they wanted to be prepared for the challenges the Grand Line was bound to throw at them. Ultima was particularly focused on improving her armament hockey, refining it to the point where she could infuse it into every attack with precision. Meanwhile, Rimuru had been working on mastering advanced observation hockey, giving him the ability to predict movements and attacks with even greater accuracy than before. As the sun began to set, turning the sky into a canvas of oranges and pinks, Rimuru suddenly spotted something on the horizon. A dark shape, growing larger with each passing minute. Rimuru. Hey, Ultima, come here. Ultima, who had been practicing her armament hockey on the deck, looked up and walked over to Rimuru, shielding her eyes from the fading sunlight. Ultima, what is it? Rimuru pointed toward the growing shape in the distance. Rimuru, looks like we're approaching an island. As they drew closer, the outline of the island became clearer. It wasn't just any island, it was large, and even from a distance, they could see that it was teeming with activity. Seal, that is Jaya Island, Master. A notorious place frequented by pirates. It is ruled by those with the most power, and lawlessness is the norm. Ultima's eyes sparkled with excitement at the mention of pirates. Ultima, Jaya Island, pirates, you say? This sounds like our kind of place. Rimuru grinned, feeling a rush of anticipation. Rimuru, yeah, a pirate haven. This should be interesting. Azura provided additional information. Azura, there are likely several pirate crews in the island. It could be a valuable opportunity to gather information, resources, or test your strength. Ultima cracked her knuckles, eager for the challenge. Ultima, sounds perfect. Let's see what kind of pirates are lurking around this place. Rimuru chuckled, but his eyes were sharp and calculating. Rimuru, we'll need to be cautious, though. If this place is ruled by the strong, it means the weak don't last long. We'll have to tread carefully until we figure out the power dynamics here. Ultima shrugged, clearly unfazed by the potential danger. Ultima, bring it on. We've faced way worse than a bunch of pirates. As their ship continued its approach toward Jaya Island, the details of the island became more apparent. The coastline was rugged, with rocky cliffs and dense jungles covering much of the island's surface. In the distance, they could make out the silhouette of what looked like a bustling town, or at least the chaotic remnants of one. Rimuru, looks like a pirate town. Probably a good place to blend in and gather intel without drawing too much attention right away. Ultima, still fired up from their recent victories, gave Rimuru a sideways glance. Ultima, or we could just storm in and take over the whole island. Rimuru laughed, shaking his head. Rimuru, let's not overdo it on the first day. We're still new to this world, and we need to play it smart. Besides, it's more fun to see how things play out before we decide what to do. Ultima pouted but nodded in agreement. Ultima, fine, fine. We'll play it your way for now. But if any of these pirates think they can mess with us, I'm not holding back. Ciel's voice chimed in, offering a bit of wisdom. Ciel, it is always wise to assess your surroundings before making any moves. This island could provide valuable information about the Grand Line and the threats that lie ahead. Rimuru nodded, his expression thoughtful. Rimuru, exactly. Let's gather some information first. We'll need to know who the big players are here and what's happening in the wider world. As their ship drew closer to the island's shore, they could hear the sounds of distant laughter, shouting, and general chaos from the town ahead. Jaya Island was clearly a place where the strong thrived, and Rimuru and Ultima were more than ready to make their mark. Ultima, this is going to be fun. I can feel it. Rimuru smiled, his eyes gleaming with anticipation as they prepared to dock. Rimuru, yeah, let's see what this world has in store for us. As their ship finally approached the docks, the adventure on Jaya Island was just beginning. They had no idea what challenges awaited them, but they were more than ready to face whatever came their way. Together, they were unstoppable, and this world was about to find out just how dangerous the Tempest Pirates truly were. To be continued.